YouTube, it's Above Average Cody coming at you guys with my 1-year review of the Scuf Instinct Pro paddled controller. Guys, I ordered this thing about a year ago as a birthday gift. My birthday's today, so we've been gaming on this thing for 1 year already, and we're going to go over everything today. The hardware, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, how it held up, because some things break on controllers fairly regularly, and then most importantly, whether it is worth the price tag. So right now, just bare bones, no creator code or anything, you can get these for $219.99 off of Scuf's website. Now, I did not pay this. I don't remember how cheap I got this, but I used some kind of early Black Friday deal, I'm pretty sure. So I did not pay that amount for this. And just to preface the video, guys, I game for probably 2, 3, 4 hours every single day. I'm streaming. I play on this thing a lot, but I am very good to it. It never sees animals. It never hits the floor. I don't throw it around, and I say I hold it about as tight as a regular gamer would. So any wear and tear that happens on this, I think can happen to anybody that games a regular amount. Now let's get right into the hardware, guys, and I first want to talk about my favorite thing about this controller, and that is the thumbsticks, guys. Obviously, this is the Instinct Pro, so you have the interchangeable thumbsticks. You just pop the faceplate off and you can change them. However, I just run 2 default height regular Xbox thumbsticks, basically, and I obviously have the control freaks on top. Now, the thing I like most about them is how solid they feel, and the snap back on these sticks is so great. And you see a little give in it because the little extra height on the control freak gives it a little bit of extra bounciness, I guess, if you're not actually using it. But these things are so great. I have never aimed better than I have on a Scuf controller, and if I'm not mistaken, these sticks are identical to a default Xbox controller. They actually put different sticks on the Xbox Elite, and I actually don't like how loose the Elite sticks feel. They get drift much, much faster, but these sticks are really, really great, and they've held up really good. And people are probably already typing a comment, oh, Cody, just tension the Xbox Elite thumbsticks. I do not want a thumbstick that is harder to press. If you increase the tension, it is harder to press the thumbstick. I want a default amount of tension, I guess you could say. I just really like how fast these sling back. They're very solid. And after an entire year, guys, I have little to zero drift on this controller. I can get a little tiny bit of drift if I rest it a certain way and I have my dead zones to 0 on a game, but I just can't say enough about how good the aiming and even everything feels on the thumbsticks for the Scuf Instinct Pro. Now, next up, I want to talk briefly about the triggers, guys. You have trigger stops. Obviously, you either have them off. If you move the switch over, you can see I can push it all the way down, or you have the stops on, where they are the mouse click triggers. And let me tell you, these are the greatest triggers I have ever experienced in my life, guys. The click is very satisfying. It is very receptive. I have no issues with trigger dead zones. Whatever they are doing to these triggers, they need to keep it exactly the same for every single controller they make. Again, the mouse click, the first thing I noticed was shooting pistols, actually, on Halo Infinite. I feel like I'm able to trigger that thing so much faster, and it's not even like you just have to adjust the triggers to wherever you like them. It's just you put the trigger stops on, and it is just one little tiny click. You might even be able to hear it. It's a very satisfying click. They work amazing. They feel amazing, and it's much less movement to be pulling the trigger, as opposed to if you put the stops off, then you're going up and down. You guys can see the big difference right there. Now we have to talk about the most important part of a paddle controller, the paddles, guys. And I have never been a big fan of the design of these paddles, and I will be talking about the durability of these paddles. Now, guys, I use paddles a lot. I actually run my ABXY on the back paddles so that at no point am I taking my finger off of the aim thumbstick to be pressing the ABXY up here on the controller. So you flip it around here, and you have some pretty weird looking paddles, right? With these paddles, you actually use one finger to do each movement, right? So you have one finger on the back of the controller, which you would be holding it like this, basically. So your middle finger would be, at least for me, how I hold my controller, my middle finger is resting, and it bounces between these 2 paddles. I never really liked this. Now, I got used to it, it is doable for me, but it is not my favorite thing ever. I prefer the paddles where it's 2 separate sticks, and basically you have these 2 fingers each doing their own motion. Instead, on the Scuf, you have 1 finger doing 2 button presses, which if you're just a 2-paddle player, I think Scufs are definitely the way to go, because the paddles are pretty receptive and it doesn't require a lot of effort to press them. But as somebody who always uses 4 paddles, this was a really tough adjustment for me, and I am completely adjusted to it after a year. I'm used to it. It's bearable. Still don't like it. I look forward to getting back on a controller that I can hopefully find that I like, that uses more of a 4-paddle, 4-finger method as opposed to a 4-paddle, 2-finger method. Now, the durability of the paddles, guys, is not good. About 6 or 7 months in, I had one break, actually, and you can kind of see the break. It's actually this one right here. So it just doesn't click right. And what actually happens is, so you can see how stiff these 2 are right here. I'm just rubbing my finger over it and they are not moving. Now, over here, something in the B paddle right there, as you can see, the top of it actually broke away from the top because it's just very, very thin plastic holding this paddle against the back of the controller, and it actually split. So you can see the same movement that's very solid over here is very loose over here. This is barely holding on, and it actually leads to the paddle not always clicking properly. Like, this click is obviously very nice. That's how it should feel when it's brand new. This paddle's not broken, but this one is broken. And again, it's nothing interior on the controller. The button still works. It's a little bit touchy from time to time because, again, it has the ability to move now. So like right here, it is really hard to press, but when it's in the area it should be, it's a little bit better. I could maybe try to super glue that little break there, which I hope you guys can see that. I'll zoom in on the camera. Oh, I can actually get it almost out. I could probably pop this thing right off, which I really don't want to. And that, I wasn't even doing anything weird with the controller. I was literally just playing. I felt a bad click. I looked at the back of the controller and went, oh, that is definitely broken. So the paddles, I don't really like the design, but that's personal preference. That has nothing to do. That's not a knock on the controller. That's just my hands and my muscle memory can't get behind it. But I did have an issue with that plastic cracking. I don't know if that happens regularly. I don't know if that was just me. But I was kind of sad when it happened. But that is one big knock on the controller, is that thin plastic actually breaking. But as for clicking the buttons, guys, and everything, and just how it feels, this is the most solid feeling controller I have ever laid my hands on. Like, even an Xbox Elite out of the box, which is still a really expensive controller, it just doesn't feel as tight and solid as the Scuf. Everything feels really solid. It feels really good in the hands. The design is fantastic on this controller. You can tell it's high quality parts, which it better be for the money I'm spending on it, but it's just, everything's really quality. The only thing that broke is that one paddle, and it's very annoying, but it does still work, so I will digress from that for now. And of course, you can pop the faceplate off. All you got to do is get under whatever edge and just kind of pry it up, and that's how you change your thumbsticks and things like that, guys. Now, I will not be popping it off because I actually had an issue out of the box. I'll first say, changing the faceplate is really, really cool if you can get one of these to last for a while, because it's like getting a new controller. You can just get a brand new faceplate. I love having the CDL team ones, or I'd love to have a CDL team one that I can put on, but I just run this like kind of cool topographical pattern. But out of the box, my right paddle would not click in. There was button presses where I'd go to push it and it would just be a dead stop. Like, it wouldn't do anything. I'm like, dude, I'm like tweaking, trying to throw grenades and stuff. And after popping the faceplate off and on like 20 times, I eventually got to sit just right. So although being able to change the faceplate is very, very cool, if you don't get it to sit just perfectly right, I guess it can mess with your bumpers. I have no issues now. The bumpers are fine. They're not broken, so that's not a knock on the controller. It's just something I really want to mention because that's one experience I had with it. Other than that, guys, I run wired. The cable's great. The wire that comes with it, I'm not going to take it out from underneath my computer because I have it run weird. But it's great. No issues, no connection issues, no input latency. So hardware-wise, honestly, this thing's a 9.5 out of 10. I really have no complaints except for that one broken paddle, and I wish they'd make a version with the 4 paddles coming down. But hey, that's just personal preference. Really solid on the hardware end of things. Now, guys, talking a little bit about the in-game and software stuff, which is really easy. The customizability with the buttons is really, really nice if you know how to do it. So if you read the instructions out of the box, how to do it, and you can remember that, No problem. Very easy. You can make different profiles on the controller and you can switch through them very easily. And it's really nice how they have you do it. It's something like you hold the button that you want to switch like the paddle to, and then it'll like remember it when it's done searching. I'm not going to pretend like I remember. I did it once out of the box because I know exactly how I like to run my controller. I've got a ton of controller videos on the channel that you guys can find if you want to see how I run all my button configuration, things like that. But I did it. It was super easy. It took 2 seconds, and I can't tell you exactly how to do it, but if you read the instructions, you will not be disappointed with how easy it is to select your button layouts and switch buttons and things like that on the fly. And as I just mentioned in the last section, guys, I never notice any input delay. I don't get any weird button presses, any ghost button presses. Everything in game is exactly how you would want it to be on this controller. Like I said, high quality, very solid. It fits really good in the hand, so aside from ghost button presses, you're not often hitting the wrong button. I mean, I am, because again, these aren't my favorite paddle design, but again, not a knock on the controller. All the button presses are very solid, and I have not a single issue with any buttons contacting, registering. You know, on the Xbox controller, sometimes the ABXY like to go if it pressed so many times. You get sticky buttons. Guys, I have even spilled something on this controller. Some of y'all have probably seen it, the short on the channel. And everything works fine. I popped the faceplate off, I cleaned it all up, and the controller still works. And that's a massive W on the controller, so we've all been there. We spill something on the controller, and it never feels the same again. Now, my biggest complaint with the software on this, I don't know if it is a me problem. I don't know if it's an Xbox problem. I don't know if it's a PC problem. So guys, I play on PC. I play a lot of Halo Infinite. On Halo Infinite, the way I link up with people or message people a lot is through the Xbox overlay. And this doesn't just go for the Xbox overlay. This is just when I experience the problem the most. And that is when I use the Xbox button. You use this Xbox button to pick up your Xbox overlay on your PC. The moment you press this button, whether you're clipping with it, whether you're opening the Xbox overlay, whatever you're doing, it registers as a mouse. So say I'm in game, I press the button, beep, boop, boop, invite my friend, cool, close it. I start playing the game. It starts taking screenshots. It starts opening Windows Magnifier. It starts literally not picking up as a controller, and it thinks this is my mouse cursor in game. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I do not know how it happens. I do not know why it happens, but all I do is I unplug it, I plug it back in, I turn it on, I click back into the game with my mouse, and then I'm good to go. It's registering it as a controller. But it does not work unless you unplug the controller and plug it back in. I do not know if that's something with the Scuf software. I don't know if that's something with my PC being just absolutely confused on whether or not this is a controller or a mouse. I don't know if it's like a gamepad versus controller thing. I have no idea, guys, but that is one of the biggest plagues I've had with this controller. Is sometimes I use Xbox to clip things. So after I make a good play, I open up the game bar or whatever it's called. I click the clip button. I come back out of the game, and all of a sudden my controller is useless until I unplug it and plug it back in. Very annoying. Maybe it's a me problem. Maybe it's my PC just being stupid. But that is the biggest knock on the software, guys. I don't know if that's... Please let me know in the comments if you have experienced that or haven't and you game with this controller, because I'm very curious if it's just a me problem. Now, guys, to wrap this up, the durability of this controller, I cannot say enough good things about it. It's very solid, very little stick drift, all the buttons work. There's so much to be said about a controller that you can get one solid year non-stop gaming on a controller, and the controller still works like it's out of the box. The only knock I have on it is this one little paddle break. Could it be this specific one and I got really unlucky? Sure. Could it be every single one? It just depends on how much of a beating you put on your paddles. That's also possible, guys. I really do not know. But in terms of how solid this controller feels, how good it feels, how good the sticks are, the triggers, I love it. I can't say enough positive things about it. Again, the only personal preference is the paddles. I already talked enough about that. Now, is this controller worth the $220? Now, I will say, unless you're a really, really competitive gamer and this controller is giving you the best results and everything, I can't really personally bring myself to spend the $220 on it. Now, if you can get this on sale for a Black Friday deal with a creator code, somebody's running a sale, third party, buy this controller. I'll tell you, I was really skeptical on the Scuf, but I have enjoyed pretty much every moment gaming on this controller. There's a lot to be said about a controller you can plug in every single day for a year, and it works like you expect it to. Again, no ghost button presses, no noticeable latency. I'm not replacing the cord every 4 or 5 months like some controllers do. Everything with this controller is very high quality. Now, the price tag is a little bit high, and I think $220 for a controller is kind of wild, but if you can get 2 years out of it, I think it's a massive W. They also have a pretty good warranty that I opted to not go through because, frankly, I'm not even sure how long of a warranty I got on this, and the paddle didn't really bother me all that much. But I'd say this controller's worth it. If you can afford the 220, it's absolutely worth it. But if you can't, just wait for a sale or something. Because if you can get this a little bit cheaper than that, it's a massive W, and I definitely recommend it. And again, I'm not sponsored or anything, guys. This is not an ad. This is just me, just a regular gamer, regular streamer here telling you my thoughts on this controller, and I really, really like gaming on this controller. The only thing is the paddles, man. If I could have this exact spot-on hardware, everything controller with the paddles of an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller, I may buy 10,000 of them, and when I break one, just grab another one out of the box. I will never try another controller again, but I'm still on the hunt for the perfect controller. I'm going to be getting a Razer V3 wireless soon, or wired soon, because it is a little bit cheaper. I play wired anyways, so we'll be trying that. But guys, that is 1 year of gaming on the Scuf Instinct Pro. I think it's really worth it. I give this controller a 9 out of 10, and that's bypassing my bias against the paddles, but everything else on this controller is really amazing. It's really just if you get an unlucky break or something like that. But honestly, it might even have a 1 year warranty. And if anything like that's going to happen in the first year, no brainer. It's worth it, guys. So that's everything I have to say about the controller. I'm still gaming on it as of today. I'm going to continue gaming on it either unless I love the Razer or if something breaks on it to the point where it's not playable anymore. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this controller, guys. Please subscribe to the channel. Not always doing controller videos, but anytime I have something like this, I'm definitely uploading it. I love talking about controllers. I like doing controller settings videos. And there's a ton on the channel already. So please hit the subscribe button, guys. Leave a like on the video. Leave a comment whether or not you've experienced this controller. Did you have any issues with the paddles, the sticks, anything? What are your thoughts on Scuf altogether? Have you tried their other controllers? Please let me know down below. And then finally, guys, channel memberships and super thanks if you like support monetarily. Helps me out a lot as a creator, but please do not feel like you have to. But alrighty, guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay tuned for the next one, guys.